Welcome to another episode of Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram columnist Mac Engel, joined by my good friend, Mr. Clarence Chill Hill. Clarence, we have arrived to the end of school. Now, for you, it's really the end of school. You have one daughter out of college, another one out of high school. I have a daughter getting ready to start high school in the fall. That's really weird. I want to thank good people of Window Nation for sponsoring this and every other episode. But Clarence, we're not going to talk about the end of school. We're going to talk about Mike McCarthy's back.
He's back.
He's back. You know, in terms of injuries, normally we're talking about the player, ankle, hip, shoulder, knee. I can't remember a time when we were talking about the coach's back. Now, Mike McCarthy did miss a little bit of time, rookie minicamp because of back surgery. Back surgeries don't sound like a lot of fun. I don't really want one. But Clarence, you insist, and through him, that he's back and raring to go. Explain to me, sir, how someone has a back surgery, especially a man of his age, is all of a sudden ready to be back and on his feet for 4 or 5 hours a day this quickly.
Well, one thing I want to let the listeners, watchers, readers, whatever you call the audience know, we did not coordinate this green, okay? We did not coordinate this green today.
Well, in fairness to you, I see you were wearing Longhorn colors within that green. This is just a generic polo. That's a UT shirt. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It is. But
hey, real quick, and I mean this. No. Your face says yes. Did Kansas baseball beat Texas in the opening round of the Big 12 tournament yesterday?
Kansas baseball has owned Texas. They beat us in the regular season. They beat us in the one seed in AC. Kansas, the worst team in the conference, and they beat Texas in the opening round. They beaten Texas all year. I mean, it's like Texas.
How do you figure Kansas baseball? I know. When was the last time you were in Lawrence? Forever?
Yeah.
Clarence, Kansas is my alma mater. That's where I did my undergrad, as you know. Kansas baseball facilities. Kansas has one facility, that can compete with anybody, and that's men's basketball. The basketball court, the arena is fantastic and should be a bucket list item for everybody else. But the baseball facility, I mean, it would look like a high school in Texas compared to A&M, TCU, UT. I don't know how they compete in Power 5 baseball. I have no idea. So the fact that they own Texas in baseball is beyond. I don't get it. Can you explain that to me?
I don't know. I was at the game at Globe Life Field yesterday. I went to visit some people and watch the game and just knew we were going to beat Kansas, and it didn't happen. So we got, Texas has to come back through the losers bracket, and Kansas, they're playing.
They're going to be Big 12 champs.
Playing TCU today, so you got to,
Oh yeah, I'm torn.
You're torn playing TCU, but anyway, getting back to Mike McCarthy's back, getting back to his back, all back surgeries aren't created equal, and it wasn't considered, it was considered more of a procedure than some, them going in and messing with his spine. And, you could have different things. My dad has had, before he passed, during his life, had several different back procedures. So it was something that he wanted to get fixed, get checked on. It may have been a disc or whatever else. We'll know more details today when we talk to him. Before the OTA practices. But yeah, he's back. He was out for a few days, few weeks. We don't really know the timeline because the Cowboys were really secretive about when he had it and when he came back. But right now, he's back running the offense and ready to go. He's been back in practice, and just talking to some players last week. They said that he's brought new life back into him. And when he wasn't there, there was something missing, from the workouts or from the practice, because he would come in and give them energy in the locker room. And they really like McCarthy. That's one thing that people don't always understand. Fans, all they care about is winning and losing, and they question his play calling or game management, all of those other stuff. But the players really like Mike McCarthy.
Clarence, you've covered the Cowboys long enough. You have seen how a team will essentially be a reflection of their head coach, right? However that looks. I remember covering Bill Parcells, and they would parrot a lot of what Bill said, and then Wade changed that narrative somewhat. And it's not about whether it's good or bad. It's more of eventually the team will sound like their head coach. And Jason Garrett, very much the same way. How do you think this team has acquired and projected the personality of its head coach?
I think we'll know more this year when he's calling plays, as opposed to the past few years. But I think that, Mike has talked about consistency and continuing to show up and get into the playoffs, and then that's how you win. And I think this team has been resilient. It's one thing that they have been. I'm not in the playoffs, but in the regular season, they've been resilient. I think that what you saw from this team last year and what they did without Dak Prescott, that's Mike McCarthy. You have to give him credit for that. And I don't know if anybody would have thought that in the past, that you lose your starting quarterback. Certainly in 2020, they didn't do that. When they got Dak for all those games. But this team is better. He came in as an offensive coach, and the best part of this team has been the defense. And he's leaned into that, and he's also been egoless, and let Dan Quinn run his defense. So I think being unselfish, being egoless, all for the team and all for the good, that's who this team is, and that's all about who Mike McCarthy's been.
Let's move on to a different subject, and that is the Dallas Cowboy, who has commanded, I'm not sure if it's unintentional or not, but Micah Parsons is everywhere these days. And you see him at NBA games. I don't know what team he's representing. He's been at the NBA games and playoffs, wearing Celtics jerseys. I don't know why. 76ers jerseys, I get he's from Pennsylvania. And I could see why maybe as a kid he was a 76ers fan. I get that. But he's everywhere. And he's on social media and the latest. And I think it was really benign. He goes on social media and he tweets, "Where can I find a massage therapist in Dallas?" And given the climate that we live in, you and I both know, better than I do, he didn't mean anything by it. No, he probably just, but it would be like me going on social media and say, "Hey, can you recommend a house painter?" Or where's a good hardware? Just some stupid request, right? Just crowdsourcing. But of all the ones, Clarence, I'm like, did you have to ask for that one?
Yeah, not in the Deshaun Watson NFL, and we're still reeling for the Deshaun Watson crowd searching or finding his massage therapist on Instagram and become. It was funny. The thing about it is that Micah at this point knows a lot of people in Dallas. Micah has plenty of resources with the Cowboys.
Yes. Yep. Sure.
And plenty of athletes, who have massage therapy. He doesn't need to crowdsource.
No, he does not.
A massage therapist. Look, I'm just, he got Britt Brown, he got Trent, he got professionals, he got Cowboys Fit. I mean, he got plenty of people to talk to and get advice from regarding a great massage therapist, and he can Google. Google is his friend as well. But to go to social media and do that, I mean, what are you doing, man?
I don't know. And you brought up something.
He likes the attention, is what I'm saying. And
okay,
that's part of the attention.
Well, and this is not apples to apples, and I don't know who insinuated it, but it does seem to me that young athletes in the spotlight can sometimes be a little unaware of their digital footprint. I may have talked about this in my college class once or twice.
I think Mac is frozen up on us right quick. Hope he's back.
You back?
Are you back?
Yes. Can you see me? We had a little bit of a. Okay.
You were freezing.
That's weird, and you vanished on me. I love modern technology. But Clarence, we saw earlier this spring, like last month, that you can go too far on social media, and you have to be careful. And the one that I'm thinking about is Ja Morant. And what Micah did is not like what Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies did. It's not at all. But there is some awareness that I think Micah needs to acquire about, okay, maybe I don't need to put that out. And he's said other things too on social media that you're like, I don't know about that one. Do you think anybody there with the Cowboys or in Micah's circle would be wise to sit there and say, Micah might want to take it easy on social media?
Oh, I think they've already have, it doesn't mean it stops. But yes, I think they did during the season when he had a couple of missteps during the season. He stepped in something regarding the president, Brittany Griner, or different things. He's had some missteps during the season on social media. But he's a fun-loving 23-year-old Like I said, they call him the Drake of the NBA because he's everywhere. I kind of, poked that another day when he was talking about the Lakers and talking about we. Who is we? When did it become? You were a Mavs fan,
right?
Eagle, you're 76ers fan. You had a Boston jersey on, and now you're talking about we with the Lakers. They call him the Drake of the NBA. Now everybody's making fun of him. The new Drake, just as a team.
Well, I don't get.
He has fun. He's enjoying the life of Micah Parsons, and it's a great life.
All right, as long as there is that line.
But the bottom line is, he's back with the Cowboys. He's back for OTAs. He was not here for the offseason program because he's working out alone in Austin, because that's the only place you can work out to add bulk and strength to get ready for the season.
No, there's no place in Dallas-Fort Worth. That's the only one.
No, just Austin. Austin is the place.
That is.
You hear that, recruits? Austin is the place to work out.
They all know that.
Parsons.
All right. We've got more to talk about here on Cowboys Overtime, but first, a word from our friends at Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you very much, Window Nation. Back here on Cowboys Overtime on StarTelegram.com. Clarence, we are fast approaching the very deadest moments of the NFL calendar, and that is June and the first part of July. But before then, we have the remaining days of OTAs, followed by minicamp. There are a lot of things to look for in the OTAs, obviously. What are the ones that sort of jump out to you and say, keep an eye on that and that?
How about the saddest part of the sports calendar? Because once the NBA and NHL are done, it's going to be a dead period.
Hey, the Rangers are in first place.
No offense to baseball and Rangers, but I'm just saying as far as
what more do you want? The games are over in 2 hours and 15 minutes. The Rangers are in first place. They don't have a bullpen. Can you throw? You might be a reliever by the middle of June. But you're right. We are coming. In the NBA calendar is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. We've got like 50 days between the end of the conference finals and the start of the NBA finals because nobody thought most of the conference finals would be done. And I know the East isn't done yet, but the West was done effectively in game 2 because your Lakers can't hang with the Nuggets. Yeah, you're right. But this is a dead part. So we can really dive in on football practice, not the games, not talking about the games. I'm talking about practice.
The underwear Olympics, as Michael Irvin used to affectionately call these things, because there's no pads and, there's really not a lot of, you can't really have contact because the NFLPA will take practice away from you if you have a lot of contact during these programs. So a lot of 7-on-7 and everything else. But it's the underwear Olympics. But, hey, it's football, and we're back, and the season is counting down. And the Cowboys, the media gets the first look at the Cowboys and OTAs on Thursday. That's today.
I swear to God, hang on. I swear to God. Clarence, the reason OTAs exist is because owners were mad that they were paying these players and these coaches all this money and they didn't do anything from essentially February 1 to really the middle of July. So okay, we're going to come up with some reason for you to come into work and fake it just so we can feel better about the amount of money that we pay you.
I go back a little further than you, and I remember the time when players had to get jobs in off season because they didn't have no money.
That's not a problem now.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think the OTAs because players were, owners were mad. It's just the coaches. It's really the coaches. The coaches want you doing their offense year round and stuff like that. But Mike McCarthy, he's changed the offense with Kellen Moore gone, and we'll get to see some of the wrinkles he's put in. That's something we're looking for. And certainly he wants it to be more efficient, so he can cut down on Dak Prescott's turnover. So that's part of it. That's something we're looking for. As far as Micah Parsons talked about, excuse me, moving from linebacker to defensive end. He's going to be a defensive stud, and Mike McCarthy says he's a full-time pass rushing linebacker. So we'll see what drills he works in the most.
The one that I'm looking for and I don't know what they'll do with him, is Tony Pollard. I will he do anything until August, really?
I mean, Tony Pollard, you're going to be smart with him and probably keep him out until training camp.
That's right,
He's
yeah.
not behind, but he had a fractured ankle. Like when Dak had his fractured ankle, he's not doing anything in OTA. There's no reason to put him out there and try to get anything out of him right now. He can learn the offense in the classroom, and we know what he is, and you want to get him back healthy. So since with Tony Pollard out, you know who I want to see?
Deuce
I
Vaughn.
want to see Deuce Vaughn.
So do I.
The great story of the draft. Let's see what it looks like on the field. 5'5" standing next to Tyron Smith and those guys. That's going to be a sight to see.
Have you had a chance to talk to him, Clarence, a little bit?
No, I've talked to him. Yes, I've talked to him. I mean, he's a great kid, great customer, great family. His dad is great. Dad was a former coach at UT, who was a scout for the Cowboys, one of the top scouts for the Cowboys, and it's just a great family affair, great story. And he's a great kid. And I love Bijan Robinson, but Deuce Vaughn gave Big 12 defense every bit of fit that Bijan Robinson gave them over the last 3 years in the Big 12.
Then the other guy I'm curious about watching, and this is another one, is just the evolution of Tyron Smith. I was sure they were going to waive him in the offseason and let him, see if he could finish up his career someplace else. But they liked him. They brought him back. Clarence, this is a warrior. This is a pro. It's not like he's not trying. He's trying. There are a lot of examples last season where he wasn't Tyron Smith anymore, but they're committed to him. What's a realistic number of games that we should expect him to be able to play?
I mean, he hasn't played a full season since 2014, 2015. So I don't know. But I know right now he's working the right tackles there. Terrence Steele is still coming back from his ACL surgery, ACL recovery. He's playing right tackle, and Tyler Smith is playing left tackle. And when Terrence Steele comes back, that's something to bear watching. Is he going to go in at right tackle, or they're going to give him a look at left guard? Because that's the hole in the offensive line right now. Is we don't know who's going to be the left guard. I know Stephen Jones has said more than one time that they want to get the best 5 guys out there, and we know that Tyron Smith and Terrence Steele are among the best 5. How do they fit on the football field? And you're not moving Tyron inside. Do you move Terrence Steele from his natural position, who is your future right tackle, inside the guard? Do you move Tyler Smith to guard and put Tyron Smith back at left tackle? I know they've resisted moving Tyler Smith so far because they want to he's your future left tackle. They want to leave him there. But these are all things that we're going to see, and all machinations of this offensive line that we're going to start looking at as we go through OTAs, minicamp, and get ready for training camp.
Are there any of those guys, Clarence, who are too tall for guard? You're not going to move Zach Martin. He's great. But are any of those other candidates just too tall to play that position?
Well, Zach Martin is a guard.
No, I know. They're not going to move him. But, I mean, is there anybody else? I'm talking.
I don't think at this point anybody's too tall for guard. I mean, they're trying them all, and I think that, this is the NFL, and this is, 2023. Everybody's bigger, faster, stronger, except the quarterback at Carolina and the quarterback at Arizona. and certainly,
that's true.
He's
shrunk.
It's certainly too small, but they just keep getting bigger, man.
Well, that's the truth. All right, let's move on to the final topic that is tangentially Cowboys related. The NHL's Stanley Cup playoffs are in the Western Conference Finals. The Dallas Stars are in the Western Conference Finals in name only. They trailed the Las Vegas Golden Nuggets 0-3. And in Game 3, Stars captain Jamie Benn, who has been the captain of that team since 2013, it's worth noting, the captain responsibility and tag is a time-honored tradition in hockey and specifically the NHL. It's a big deal. And Ben got it for a reason in 2013, and he's had it every season since then. But in reality, the last few years, the real captain of that team has been Joe Pavelski, as a veteran free agent signee that they got from San Jose a few years ago. Clarence, the captain of the Stars in Game 3, went brain dead in the first period, where he cross-checked and basically was ejected. Got a cross-checking penalty, totally deserved, was ejected, handed Vegas a 5-minute power play. They scored on it. Game's over. They're down 0-3. Doesn't talk to the media after the game. He leaves his teammates to do it. Comes out the next day, yesterday, and addresses the media. I don't know if anybody coached him on it or not. I couldn't believe it. I've met him. I've covered him. He's a good guy. He's a good pro. He's been a good captain. But this is like, what are you thinking? And you mentioned it here, on our email exchange. I don't think Dak Prescott gets enough credit for his ability as a leader, because there are, I know he had a horrible playoff game in San Francisco and he had to wear it, but he says the right things. He does the right things. I still can't get over this guy. Jamie Benn did that because it is so out of character. What I have tried to figure out, because I know the Cowboys have referenced it, is what is that worth to a team? You can't quantify it. You can't say, well, that's worth $100,000. You can't. But when we look at the local teams in this market, Mavericks have no leadership.
No, they don't.
They don't.
We love Luka.
Kyrie is.
We love
Luka
Luka.
doesn't want it.
He's not a leader.
Not yet. He doesn't want it. I don't think he wants it.
Right.
And it took Dirk Nowitzki a long time. He didn't want it. And eventually, like, sorry, son, you're Spider-Man. So great power comes great responsibility. Kyrie is.
He's not on this team, so I mean, we can't even.
Well, then there's that. Okay, he's not on the team. And the Rangers, Corey Seager is still a relatively new player. Marcus Semien, he might be it. But it's still early. A pitcher can't be. It's either going to be Josh Jung. There's a couple guys, but really, if you were to look in this town and say, well, who's the best leader? It's probably Dak. The other one, Joe Pavelski, would probably really be it. But in terms of the value to a team, because Tony Romo really wasn't. Tony was a really great player, but he really didn't want to be a leader.
No, he wasn't a leader. I think that when the Cowboys talked about, let's get back to Jamie Benn, because I mean, he's probably been a good guy, but he's had some dirty plays throughout his career, right? I mean, he's
on borderline. I don't think you would call him a dirty player, but he's had borderline plays where it's like, that's right on the line for sure.
And he's been suspended by the NHL. I mean, you don't want to do anything to take yourself not just out of the game, but now you're out of the series.
2 games.
They
need him. I mean, as a top 6 player, he scored a big goal in game 2 or game 1 rather. I mean, it's just like, dude, what are you doing? And he was just so unapologetic about it.
Right. You can't do that. You can't remove yourself from the situation. But just getting back to Dak, I don't know how you quantify, but I think that when the Cowboys talked about paying Dak, it wasn't because he was Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, because he doesn't have their athletic skills or arm or whatever else. But part of the Dak package, why, hey, we need this guy. We're paying this guy. He's our franchise quarterback. It's not because just how he throws the football and runs the football and does it. It's how he leads. And then they're paying him, he's getting some of that leadership tax, part of that. And that's, again, at the end of the day, they're hoping that leadership overcome some things and help lead them to the Super Bowl and lead them to winning the playoffs. That hasn't happened yet, but that's part of what they're paying. I mean, they're paying Dak for the whole package. He's not being paid just for, what he does on the field, because what he does off the field, what he means in our locker room, what he means to his team, what it means to his teammates, and that's part of what they're paying him for. And they openly talked about that, and they readily accept that that's who he is. And I don't know, leadership is so, it's like character, and it's like everybody has to get along. I know teams that won that hated each other. Okay, the Steelers of the '70s hated. Bradshaw and Chuck Noll did not get along. They won 4 titles. So we can because we all like to write stories about character. This guy has. You don't really have to like each other to win.
For sure.
Okay, you don't have to do that.
But you have to respect it. You have to appreciate. I need this guy.
Yeah, you have to play well, and so hopefully for the Cowboys' sake. Dak being the type of person he is, hard worker, leader, never quit, that stuff is going to lead to success in the playoffs and lead to titles. That's what they hope.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this evolves for the Dallas Stars. There's a very good chance they're going to finish their series tonight and get swept. I don't think they're going to take away the captain role from Jamie Benn, but in my mind, he's got to be better than that. And he's been better than that. That's the shocking thing about it. If you're looking for the gold standard, though, in this town where, okay, how do I do this? That part of the job, look at Dak Prescott. And if you're looking how to get it done professionally, look at me. Sorry, I just had to do that. Clarence, enjoy your Longhorns going through the losers bracket in the Big 12 baseball tournament.
It's a big weekend for me. My daughter finally graduated. I feel like I'm graduating. You know how many graduation events I've been to over the last few weeks? And
I'm going to go see 5.
I mean, it's like the lead up to graduation, and she's had the IB program, she's had the senior night, she's had, just the gymnastics banquet. We've had so much, and finally graduation this year. Got a lot of family coming to town this weekend to enjoy graduation. I'm just trying to get to June. I had a graduation in DC 2 weeks ago. Got to graduate. Money just coming out every time my kids call me. My pockets itch. Daddy, can I have this? Daddy, I need that. It's just I'm just trying to get to June, man. I'm just trying to get to June.
Well, I think in terms of the pocket itching, I don't think June's really going to look that much different than May. All right, this is fun for all of your Cowboys coverage needs, especially when the Cowboys start with OTAs and next weekend minicamp. Be sure to check out Clarence and myself on StarTelegram.com. We will see you next week here on Cowboys Overtime.